In 2015, this amount bought you a used Toyota Corolla, a functioning used Toyota Corolla, an asset, something you could drive for 5 years. In December 2025, the same amount bought you a 45-minute economy seat to Owerri, Asaba, Enugu, or Anambra.
This year, a round trip from Lagos to Asaba, the average is 700,000.
Because why would you want to book a flight and they're telling you one way is almost 500K?
Look at it, almost 70 or 65% of that money are not coming to the airlines. They are going somewhere else.
Our investigation found a calculated supply stranglehold, a financial weapon designed to target one specific demographic at one specific time of year. Welcome to the most expensive domestic flight on Earth. This is not just inflation. This is a hostage situation, and travelers to Southeast Nigeria are the hostages. Every business has a peak season, but in the Nigeria aviation industry, December is not just a peak, it is the entire business plan. The industry calls it the Easter Mass Movement. You know it as going home for Christmas. It is a cultural mandate. For the Igbo people from Southeast Nigeria, returning home in December is not just optional. It's a social currency. Weddings happen. Titles are taken. Family meetings, age grade meetings hold. This is leverage. Leverage built on emotional blackmail. They are not selling you a seat on a plane. They are selling you access to your mother, access to your village, and access to your identity. The airlines told you the astronomical high ticket price to Southeast was market forces, but they lied. Here is where the market forces argument falls apart. In December 2025, there was no global oil crisis. There was no sudden closure of Nigerian airspace. Flights to other parts of Nigeria basically remained the same during this period. At the same time, a 6-hour international flight to London was competing in price with a 45-minute dash to Enugu, Owerri, Asaba, or Anambra. How does a domestic flight burning domestic fuel with local crew cost the same as crossing a continent? The answer is simple. The price was not set by cost. It was set by desperation. To understand the scam, you have to look at the anomalies. If this was just high demand, it would have happened everywhere there is a festival. Let's look at the data. During the Salah celebrations, millions of Nigerians travel north. The demand is massive. The airports are packed. The terminals overflow. The planes are full. So, we pull the data. We compare ticket prices during Salah. Lagos to Kano, Lagos to Kaduna, Abuja to Sokoto. Same aircraft, same fuel, same pilots, same airspace. Flight prices to north during Salah see a marginal increase, 10%, maybe 20% at most. Now, compare flights to southeast during Christmas. The fares don't just rise, they explode. 300%. 400%, 500%, sometimes more. Why the difference? Is the aviation fuel for the North cheaper? Do the pilots flying to Kano accept lower salaries? The answer is no. And that tells us the price was not responding to pressure. It was responding to a target. Because if demand alone caused this, every festival, every region, every route will burn the same way. The industry assumes that because you are returning to the southeast, you have money to burn. They are taxing your ethnicity. The roads are unsafe. The insecurity is high. The airlines know you're terrified of the highway, so they put a price tag on your safety. You are not paying for luxury. You're paying a ransom to avoid the road. That 700,000 naira ticket is essentially protection money. And where are the regulators? The NCAA, the Consumer Protection Agencies. None of this happens in a vacuum. Because in a functioning system, someone is supposed to stop it. Every December, the same pattern repeats. And every December, the regulators say nothing. No investigation, no audit, no explanation on how a 45-minute flight cost 1 million naira. When multiple airlines who are supposed to be competitors arrive at the exact same price at the exact same time on the exact same routes. That is not competition or coincidence. That is not economics. That is a cartel. That is coordination. That is collusion. And yet, no sanctions, no fines, no corrective action, because when fares rise, tax revenues rise.
Take a ticket of about 350,000. What comes to the airline is about 81,000 naira.
You see, everyone benefits. Everyone eats from this table, except the passengers. Silence becomes policy. Total complicit silence. Inaction becomes approval. And the absence of regulation becomes the most powerful enabler of all. Here is how it gets darker. Weeks before December, something strange begins to happen. Economy seats start disappearing. Not gradually, not naturally. Entire flights marked sold out. They create artificial scarcity. They mark economy seats as sold out to force panic buying of business class seats. We monitor these routes day after day, recorded the seat maps, tracked the inventory. 48 hours before departure, economy seats miraculously reappear at triple the price, sometimes higher. The same seats on the same plane that were supposedly gone. And when the planes finally flew, there were few empty seats in a cabin that had been declared sold out weeks earlier. This is an inventory manipulation. This is a business model built on culture, fear, and silence. And the result? Thousands of families separated. The cultural fabric of the Southeast torn apart because people simply cannot afford to go home. This documentary is not asking for charity. Flying is expensive business, we get it. To understand this crisis, we have to hear the airline side. They argue that December travel to the southeast is structurally unbalanced.
When you fly to the southeast, at this period in time, you're coming back almost empty.
The airlines also reject claims of exploitation and argue December travel is a personal choice, not a cost airline is required to subsidize.
On your own to go and enjoy Christmas in your village, and you want the airline to bear the costs of your transportation.
From the airline's perspective, Nigerian aviation is not a cash machine, but a fragile business under pressure from fuel costs. foreign exchange instability, and weak infrastructure.
Airlines in Nigeria are being demonized for nothing. It's a selfless service.
This is where explanation ends and scrutiny continues. Here are the questions we are asking. Why do extreme price spikes appear so sharply and so consistently on southeast routes every December? Who approved these fares? Who monitored them? Who looked at a 1 million naira domestic ticket and stamped it okay when a predictable annual movement turns into an annual financial crisis? This is not a mistake. That is a system working exactly as designed. Until we have regulators who regulate and a government that protects consumers rather than colluding with corporations, December will continue to be a harvest season and travelers to Southeast are the crops. This has been O1 Hustle Original Investigation. Don't forget to subscribe and share. The hustle continues.